Alright, so I had some issues from you guys on this assignment. Okay, so I was going through the grades. I understand that some of you may not have understood some of these fonts. I left it up to too much reading, maybe. I don't know. I don't want you guys to think of this class as having to read too much, even though reading is fantastic for you. But I did add some more information on types of fonts, like serif, sans serif, script, and decorative. Okay, decorative and script. Okay. Hopefully you'll read through this and get a little bit more information. I'll just go through them for you really quick. But first, I'm just going to save this. And so this is some of the instructions. I'm going to add this video down below. Let's look at font faces. Okay. So what I've asked you to do is create a table. A lot of you have done that just fine. Okay, that's not the hard part. Hopefully it's not the hard part. If it is, let me know. Put some instruction on there. Let's go to this website though. Let's view this website right up here. This is kind of what I wanted you to look at, okay, to view serif and sans serif mostly. So this is a serif, these little edges right at the very end. Okay, I don't know what they've got circled here, but anyways. Okay, so it talks about some of these fonts, traditional serifs, non-classical serifs. Okay, there's all sorts of different serifs. Okay, even this would be considered a serif, even though it looks kind of like it might be a sans serif. Okay, could be a straight edge, but it's hanging off, right? Now this one's a serif. Now we're getting into sans serif. There's no edge; it is just straight. And there are several different types of sans serifs. Okay. Even though there's a little bit of a curve right there on the edges, okay, it's still considered a sans serif because there's nothing hanging off. This one, on the other hand, no, not this one. This one's a sans serif. This one is a tough one because it does kind of curve. I would almost consider this one a sans serif. You got to be careful on that. But I'm not going to grade. I had a professor literally tell me, is this serif or is this sans serif? And it looked very similar to this particular font. And I said, of course, it's a serif because it curved out. And he's like, no. And we had a little debate on it. And, of course, eventually the professor won. And I was so annoyed. I was like, listen, that's just debatable. That's definitely serif because it curves out. But anyways, that's an artistic point of view. This, technically, I guess, is considered a sans serif. Okay. But just for the assignment, use some obvious ones, right? Script is if you did it in handwriting. Some good calligraphy, like this is nice calligraphy. Like if you were to actually write this out, you would have to lift up the pen to do some of these. But just imagine it if you didn't have, like just as if you were writing. Like you didn't have to lift up the pen and draw too much on one letter, like once or twice maybe per letter. Okay, but it's just calligraphy. The reason why I say that is because we get down to these decorative fonts and it's like you're drawing a piece of artwork. Like there's no way that that's your handwriting, right? So that's the difference between script and decorative. This particular font, that's so much on the verge of script and of being decorative. I don't know. I would consider that one decorative, but it doesn't really matter. It's not like somebody's looking at your webpage and saying, oh, they should have used decorative instead of script, or they should have used script instead of decorative, or serif instead of sans serif. Sometimes I do that because, I don't know, I'm weird that way, but most people aren't going to look at that and say things of that nature. The most important thing is when to use these fonts. And when to use these fonts is on the instructions that I posted above this video. Okay. Let's see. Is that everything for fonts? Everything I wanted to say for now. Okay. Let's go to REPL and let's look at some of these things. Actually, let's go to W3 Schools. W3 Schools font families. Just make sure that you find a font family that works in HTML. Some fonts just don't work. Okay, it's just not compatible with HTML. And that is tough, but you'll have to talk to the person who created HTML. He's still alive. Okay, HTML is not that old. So just be careful on that. What the heck kind of ad is this? Okay. Anyways, let's take a look at what they've got here in W3 Schools. Okay, let's hit try it yourself. Right? Some of you have said font family, that's great, and you've put it up here in the style sheet, you've named it, you've done a class. Just remember, if you're going to name it, put quotation marks right here. Okay, I saw that as a mistake for someone. Okay, so this particular one says font family Times New Roman times and then serif. You don't have to do all of that, okay? It is sometimes easier just to say font family, just say Times New Roman, okay? So that's the Arial font, Helvetica Sans Serif. This W3 School is probably the root of all of your confusion now that I'm seeing it, okay? Let me simplify this for you. You don't have to have all of this. You can just type in like Arial and hit run, and look, it's the exact same. Nothing changed, okay? Let's do this. Let's type in a font that's really different. Let's do Jokerman. Right, hit run, bam, it's changed. It's not that difficult. You don't have to put all these quotations and stuff up here. All right, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you might want to consider coming back to W3 Schools and seeing why they did this. Okay, but for most servers and computers, that works. So just don't worry about that. Just put in Times New Roman. That's all you got to do. And look, nothing's changed. Times New Roman, run. Bam, we're done. Nothing changed. Let's put in black. Oh, I can't remember what that one was. Some fonts just on the top of my head. A good idea sometimes would be going in. I'm just going to pull off a Word document that it means nothing to you guys. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to go to the font families right over here. Look at that. Jokerman, Allegrian. I wonder if Allegrian even works. Let's try it. So I'm going to click on it. I'm just going to copy this so I don't misspell it. Copy. Come over here. It works. What do you know? Okay, so several things do work. And I would be surprised if there was a font in a Word document that didn't work. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't be surprised. There's tons of Word. Like for instance, let's look at one way down here. Maybe it'll work. Well, actually, that one might work. Real black. Some of them might not work. Let's look at Casteller. I don't think that one's HTML compatible, but let's just take a look. Copy it and paste. Whoops. Copy. And paste. Oh. It does work. Okay. Just know that there are some fonts that don't work. Okay, that's the main point of this. Okay. So that being said, let me know if you have any further questions. This shouldn't be a terribly difficult assignment. I mean, probably you guys got confused because of this W3 Schools thing. I'm sorry about that. I didn't double check what W3 Schools had to say. Just worry about what I had to say. I mean, this works just fine. Okay. Let me know if you have further questions. Good luck.